The following episode may contain inappropriate material. Listener discretion is advised. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another installment of the greatest and only Matlock podcast on the planet, Mattalk. I'm John Orlando, joined by Jason Taylor. Jason, how you doing, man?
I am doing great, man. I'm a podcasting machine. Still podcasting machine. I got 6 interviews next week.
Man, oh man, I'm telling you, I'm going to be honest. I'm struggling a little bit to keep my head above water. I'm not going to lie. I don't know how you're doing it.
Well, 3 Geeks, we don't really do a lot of editing. So I just really need to show up. So, I mean, it's not that bad. It's just, it is daunting to know that you have something. Like, we have an interview on the 28th, 29th, 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and, 5 interviews next week.
Well, I mean, the product's not going to make itself, right?
That's right, man. I'm not allowed to do more than 2 interviews a week starting mid-October. So Max told me I need to slow down a little bit.
Well, you know what? I'm going to agree with Max, your co-host on 3 Geeks Podcast. Speaking of which, let's just go ahead and do a segue real quick. Where can folks check out the 3 Geeks Podcast?
3geeks.ninja and everywhere you find audio podcasts.
There you go.
YouTube, Facebook, all fun stuff.
You know what? Real quickly, before we dive into the episode, I would like to thank everybody for listening. And I know we say that a lot, and I know it's a cliche in podcasting, but really, truly, when we started this a few months ago, we were very open and honest and said, hey, we're not sure how this is going to take off, or if it's going to take off, I should say. And I don't know about you, Jason, but I had in my mind, hey, if we could get like 30 people or 40 people to listen consistently, that would be great. But just the other day, you were telling me that number has just like been blown out of the water.
100% blown out of the water. I check the numbers every day, and every day I'm still surprised when I see them. Our Facebook numbers are great, and our audio numbers are coming up too.
Well, and that's all due to the fans of Matlock, aka the Matlockers out there that are listening and telling friends about it and telling family about it. And we appreciate it. We really, really do. It's keeping us moving. It's keeping us thinking about what we can do to make this podcast better or bigger or whatever. And we really do thank you for listening. That's honest to goodness truth.
Yeah, 100%. It's been fun.
Yeah, most definitely. Well, let's start talking about this episode. So without any further ado, let's get into opening statements.
The Sisters.
That's right. The Sisters is our episode, and it originally aired November 11th, 1986. We have some pretty notable guest stars, Jason. The first one, who I think he has been on another episode, but I don't think we gave him as much love as we should have. Michael Durrell is playing District Attorney Burgess. He is best known for his role on Remington Steele and the 1980s miniseries V, in which he played anthropologist Robert Maxwell. Are you a fan of V? I don't think we've ever talked about V. What? Are you a fan?
I haven't seen the older one. I did watch a little bit of the newest one that they had with the lady from Firefly.
Yeah.
But I'm not familiar with the original miniseries.
Oh, okay. I was familiar with it as a kid. For some odd reason, it was one of those shows that my parents were like, yeah, no, you don't need to be watching this. I think because, there's the infamous, they have, the aliens have cat eyes rather than human eyes. I think that bothered my parents some. So I never got a chance to watch V until an adult, when it was purchased for me by a friend of mine who was outraged that I had not watched any of the V mythology. And so he bought it for me. So V, yeah, Michael Durrell. Let's move on to Julia, who is played by Gail O'Grady. And she is best known for playing the role of Claire in the movie Deuce Bigalow, Male Gigolo. She is also was Anne on Desperate Housewives. And Jason, I bet maybe you didn't pick up on this, or maybe you did. I don't know. She is also Judge Gloria Weldon on Boston Legal.
Wow. You are right.
You didn't know that, did you? You kind of just went right past you, huh?
She looked familiar to me, but I couldn't place where she had been from, because she's also in NYPD Blue.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Did you? No, you just recently started watching Boston Legal, correct?
Yeah, I finished Boston Legal. I'm now on The Practice.
Okay. And so, are you real quickly? We're just gonna diverge for a moment. You're a big fan of Boston Legal.
Boston Legal was not at all what I expected. The Practice is what I thought Boston Legal was going to be, a super serious lawyer show. Boston Legal is quirky. It breaks the fourth wall. It speaks to the audience every chance it gets. I think Boston Legal is brilliant, and I think the show it spun off from is also really good.
There you go.
I'm surprised you haven't seen Boston Legal. James Spader, William Shatner, being James Spader and William Shatner to like a very high degree.
You know what? I'll put it on the list of shows to watch, which is after quarantine starting to grow again, because I managed to polish off some shows I wanted to see, and now it's starting to grow a little bit now that we're getting back to quote unquote normal. All right, let's talk about our last guest star, Conchetta Farrell, playing Mrs. Reese. She is best known for being Berta on 2.5 Men.
What? I did not catch that one. I love that woman.
Yeah. Mrs. Reese, of course, is the very strict librarian that's going to be in the episode.
That is her. Wow. I can't believe I didn't. I love this woman. She's the only reason I watched 2.5 Men when I did. She was also in Mr. Deeds.
Yes. Correct.
Yes.
Correct.
I love this woman. She cracks me up. Not in this. She was not funny in this, but everything else I've seen her in, she cracks me up.
Although, let's be honest, there's some great comedy in this episode of Matlock. I mean, we're going to dive into it here, and I'm going to tell you, there's some great comedy in here. So, with that, Jason, are you ready to give an opinion? Your opinion, and nothing but your opinion, so help you?
I am.
Then it's time to testify. All right, here's the plot of our episode. Sisters murder their rich aunt, and Ben must defend a wrongly accused uncle of the crime. What'd you think of the sisters? Because I'm going to say they were creepy as all get out.
Yeah, they were. I got a very poltergeisty kind of vibe out of them. There's a sequence later on that really shows it. I am, however, disappointed that we saw the murder happen at the beginning of the episode. I think I would have liked it more as a reveal.
Yeah, I agree, because they tried to hide it with like the killer's wearing some weird hazmat outfit a la Walter White. And yeah, and I was like, it's really not you're not really doing a great job of kind of concealing that. And here's my other thing is I felt like Uncle Harold sees the killer. He pulls a gun. He runs into the other room or down the steps, I believe, and he finds his wife, Esther, dead. Have we ever seen a suspect or somebody affiliated with the crime pull a gun before? Because I don't think we've ever seen that in the previous episodes.
No, I'm surprised he didn't pull the gun and run outside as opposed to run upstairs. I would have ran outside first, I think. Stopped whoever was leaving my house and then went and investigated.
Yeah, because that seemed awkward to me as well. In fact, I don't even remember I don't remember much gunplay, period, in Matlock, in the entire series.
Yeah, I don't either. See Ben chasing down a car with a gun, like in Bad Boys. He's running down the road. That would have been fantastic.
He's doing cool, like, reloads, like Woody Harrelson in Zombieland, where he's, like, just slamming clips and, like Linda Hamilton in Terminator, racking a shotgun with one hand. There you go. that is for the maybe remake of Matlock. Who knows?
I need to watch more of Andy Griffith's work. You watched something with him where he played a serial killer, right? Or a murderer?
No.
Oh,
no.
What is Facing the Crowd? That's not
No, Facing the Crowd is he's just like he's not a murderer. Facing the Crowd is he's kind of like this drunken degenerate that becomes very, very popular because he gets on the radio and tells it like it is, and then ends up becoming involved in politics, and he becomes like the hype man for this politician, and fantastic. It's a great movie that, even though it was made, I think, in 1957, it still holds true today.
Okay. Well, I wanted to see Andy Griffith play a serial killer.
There's one, and I'll have to look it up because I think in one of the Facebook groups that we, post in and whatnot, somebody had posted that there is a made-for-TV movie, I think, where Andy Griffith is he's on trial for murder. He's not a serial killer, but
we'll have to check it out. All right. Anyway, I totally derailed the conversation.
Yeah, that's right. We went all over the place. So Ben and Tyler meet downtown at the police station, and Tyler convinces Ben to take Harold's case because for some odd reason, Ben does not much care for Harold. Like, I was very confused. Why is Tyler setting this up?
I have no idea, but I thought it was really messed up that Ben just steals Tyler's coffee. He literally pulls his coffee out of the vending machine, goes to take a sip, and Ben just takes it out of his hand. Disrespectful.
Very much so. But I was very confused. Like, it seems like still being disrespectful. It seems like so petty for Ben to be like, he's boring and he's annoying, and I don't want to take his case. He couldn't
kill anybody unless he bored them to death.
I have that down. Ben has jokes. He couldn't kill someone. He'd bore them to death. And the other one I loved is he hasn't exercised since 1949. He wouldn't have the strength to kill someone. I was like, that's hilarious, Ben. That is awesome. But to me, I felt like additionally, was there some type of connection between Tyler and Harold? Because that's where it kind of seemed they were going, but yet it just kind of fell flat and they never did anything with it. And Ben takes the case anyways.
Yeah, that seems to be one of the negatives about the show is they have an interesting angle, but they never explore it.
Mm-hmm. Oh, the interesting angle that we have to hear a lot about is that Charlene, she's MIA. No one knows where she is.
Yeah, she is.
Uh-huh. Bet you 10-1. She's out there gallivanting around with some sexy young man probably because
she's perusing the dating sites. Oh, wait, they didn't have those back then. They were right. Newspapers. The Classified. I remember reading the Classifieds. Man looking for woman. I'm a single man with a nice job.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the personal ads. Uh-huh. Yeah. So Charlene eventually does show up at the crime scene, which is, of course, Harold's house. And again, where is she? Nobody seems to know. Anyways. Why is it that Tyler always ends up in a dump of a bar?
I don't know, man, but Tyler went into that bar like ready to chew bubble gum and kick ass. He was so aggressive in that bar. Maybe he was so mad about the coffee.
Ben stole my coffee. I'm going to take it out on this drunk groundskeeper, Jim. Yeah, dude, let me just tell you, he has some awesome lines. I wrote them down. Are you a cop? Cops don't wear $500 suits.
We slept in body bags, Jimbo.
Why are we just finding out that Tyler Hudson was a Green Beret? Like, why are we finding this out right now? This should have been revealed in episode 2. Okay, I'll give you episode 1 to kind of, build the foundation. Episode 2, we should have heard about it. I didn't even know this. Did not know this. I've watched dozens of episodes of Matlock. Never was it ever brought up that he was a Green Beret, because I think I would have remembered that.
Tyler's always got something going on in every episode that we learn about.
So yeah, he was really fired up there with old Jim, and he stole his keys too when he not karate chopped him. He judo flipped him down, under the bar. You would think Tyler would end up in some classier bars. You know what I mean?
You would. I mean, they are in Atlanta, so maybe the bars there are just rougher.
I've been to Atlanta. I have a good friend that lives in Atlanta. The bars are, there are rough ones, but very nice ones too. So we go back to Harold's house, and the sisters are upstairs. They hear noises, and they decide to light a candlestick. You can't turn on the lights. Somebody didn't pay the power bill. Like, you can't just go click, let's see who's downstairs. Why do you have to? Is this to keep with the Clue theme? Where Aunt Esther was clubbed to death with a candlestick. Is that why we're doing this? I just thought this was very, very kind of weird.
Yeah, it was. I don't understand that at all.
But guess who's in the kitchen? Who could it be?
I never thought to put cream cheese in my eggs.
Yeah, I never thought of that either. I'm actually not a huge fan of cream cheese. It's okay. But yeah, at this point though, that's a little bit later on. But at this point, remember he's looking for the silver polish, and there's the little misdirection with the sisters where they find the other container, and then Ben was like, "Oh, there's 2 cans." Classic Ben. Classic Ben. Okay, here's the other what the heck moment of this episode. Okay, so Ben reveals that, oh, here's the other thing of shoe polish. Leaves, and what do the sisters do? Let's reenact the murder. Why would you do that? Why?
Make sure they're covered.
Covered? Well, here's an idea. When you do that, make sure that Ben doesn't walk in on you while you're doing it.
He was creepily in that house.
Yeah, my question was, does he have a key? Because he's in that house like multiple times in this episode. Did he get a key from Harold somehow?
Maybe. Well, only 2 people had the keys, remember?
That's right. Or did he steal it from Drunk Jim?
Probably stole it from Drunk Jim.
Later, it's revealed that Jim lost his keys when the sisters gave him a ride to the bar during like his testimony. You know, that's one thing. Let's tip our hat to Jim. Jim's a drunk, but gosh darn it, he is a responsible drunk. He does not drive to the bar. He does not drive from the bar. He gets rides from people. You know what? Pre-Uber, that's very responsible of you, Drunk Jim.
Yeah. Way to go, Drunk Jim.
Yeah.
Drunk Jim supplied the motive or the means for the murder to happen.
Yeah.
He gave them a vehicle and access to keys.
Mm-hmm. So I think he's just as culpable.
Yeah, he's an accessory.
He is. He is. All right, this is my favorite scene of the whole episode. As I really like the library scene where Charlene's dressed as Julia and she dupes Mrs. Reese and Emily into thinking she's Julia. But then Julia runs in. Oh, I like that. I thought that was really clever.
That was really clever. You know, you can tell Ben's catching on to what happened.
Yeah. And then we followed up with the stupidest scene in the whole episode. Dumb. I'm going to stop by the house. It's only midnight. Tyler suggests maybe I shouldn't do it. But too bad. I'm Charlene. You're going to stop by the house. You're going to pick up stuff for Uncle Harold. You know that the sisters are going to be there and bad things are going to happen.
Well, yeah, but I got to say that scene when it actually got to her in the house was kind of creepy.
I'll give you that. Yeah. But I just was like, really? So we're doing this. We're going to do this. This is like so cliched. Like,
good thing Ben was lurking around the house again.
Yeah, doing his peeping Tom impression. Yeah. Yeah, I just that scene, I was like, that's ridiculous. It's stupid. Harold and Ben try to divide the sisters. Like they try to kind of divide and conquer. That's where you had mentioned once again, Ben is in the kitchen. Just stopping by, man. I'm going to make you some eggs, you know.
Cheese again.
Huh?
It's a cream cheese.
It's that cream cheese, baby. Insert Wu-Tang Clan joke here. So we find out that Julia made Emily think she was the cause of her parents' death. And that's how she could manipulate her. I wrote this down because I swear I heard this, and maybe I misheard it. In the cross-examination, does Ben mention that Julia graduated from college at 19?
I don't remember.
I was like, I swear that that's what he said. And I'm like, 19. If she's a genius like this, then how are you going to beat her? Right?
Doogie Howser graduated at 12, right?
Yeah, well, yeah, maybe. I don't know. I mean, theoretically, you could graduate community college at 19, I imagine. 2-year program. Maybe she'll show up on a future episode of Community. All right. I really liked the scene of Ben versus Julie in the courtroom. I thought that was pretty good. I thought that was very well acted. I liked it. I thought the actress that did the role of Emily did a great job of being very convincing, of being somewhat mentally askew, if you will. What do you think of the courtroom scene as we're getting towards the end of our episode?
I thought the one cop they had on the scene sounded like Cleveland from Family Guy.
Really?
I didn't rewind it to make sure I heard that right, but that's what I had there. But when he gets the sisters on the stand, I thought that was really good and really I don't know, interesting.
Yeah. I thought it was a very good, and it turns out that there's actually evidence to prove a theory that the candlestick is wrapped in the Thursday newspaper, which would have indicated that the crime took place Wednesday night, and all that evidence of the twins doing the little switcheroo and whatnot. I thought it was very nice that they had some evidence to back up the theory, where in previous episodes I think we've complained about that.
Did they say why the twins didn't like Harold?
No, they never mentioned why they didn't like Harold, and I think that the motive was we had evidence to prove the case, but I think the motive was a little bit sketchy, and I think it was an easy fix. The aunt dies, Harold's framed for the murder, so he's a suspect, so he can't get the insurance money. They get the insurance money, but it's never really explained.
Mm-hmm.
We're left to believe they're just two psychopath sisters.
One psychopath sister, one cult-like mentality sister that follows the other sister.
Yeah, exactly. But you know what? We're burying the lead, because throughout the episode, everybody wants to know, where is Charlene? And she won't tell. She won't tell at all. And we finally find out in the resolution of this episode, Jason. Where has Charlene been? She's been on the arm of District Attorney Burgess.
At least she's moved up from clients.
All right, so I'm going to throw it out there. Just let's play a little fantasy writing. All right. Charlene, is she with Burgess because she really loves him, or is it a political move so she can move on up the chain of command? What do you think? How would you do it if you were the writer of this storyline?
I would say she's in love with him.
Okay. You know what? I think I would go just to be the devil's advocate. I'd go with she's there to kind of move on up the ladder.
The one thing that's bothering me about Matlock so far, we're on episode 8 now.
Yeah,
is there's no through line. Like, I'm watching a ton of shows, even from the 80s and 90s, and there's usually some continuance to the next episode, whether it be through relationships or relationships growing, but there's never any continuity between the episodes unless it's a two-parter.
Yeah, and I don't think that's uncommon, though. I think that when you look back at a lot of older television shows, that was kind of what it was. They were all self-contained. And, whether they were a sitcom or whether they were a drama, I think that was kind of the thing. I think, especially in the 80s, I think that continuation was, quote, soap opera. That was for soap operas, and you did that, where the rest of these are all kind of self-contained.
They were supposed to be reset by the end of the episode.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm sitting here struggling to think of 80 shows that had a continuation. I guess the A-Team, because they were always trying to be one step ahead of the government, because that was kind of in almost every episode, if not every episode. Geez, I'm trying to think of what other, I could think Golden Girls. There were gags that fell through each episode. And there were through
lines, relationships, who they were dating would continue.
Sure, okay. The interaction between the four of them. Sure, okay, you're right on that.
Like I said, it's just something I've picked up, and I'm sure it's going to get more and more obvious when we switch Charlene's.
Yeah, switch Charlene's. You mean get Leanne. All right, well, here we go. It's time for closing statements. All right, here, ladies and gentlemen, is where we are going to rate this episode of Matlock. We're going to use the gavel system. 5 gavels means it was an awesome, almost flawless episode. 1 gavel means that it's not very good at all. And of course, you have from 5 to 1. We can go anywhere in between. Jason, may I go first?
Absolutely.
Okay. I gave it 4 gavels. I liked this episode a lot. I liked that the sisters were very creepy. I liked that there was some really great acting with those sisters, Gail O'Grady, and the other actress. Her last name is Barons. I can't remember what her first name is, but they did a great job. I liked that there was some actual evidence represented. And once again, I enjoyed the sprinkling of comedy in there. Ben's jokes were funny. I mean, come on, Tyler Hudson dropping some of this crazy I served the nom stuff. That was great. So I really like that. I think the good parts outweighed the bad parts. There were 2 things I did not really like. I didn't like, as we talked about, that there's no motive for the killing whatsoever. And I'll be honest, I feel like with this episode, Charlene's sex life was just kind of shoehorned in for no reason. total was probably like 4 minutes of screen time given to that storyline, and I felt like there's no need for it. Like, put it in another episode that might need that. I felt this episode was strong enough. You could have gotten rid of it, but nonetheless,
wasted a lot in this episode. Sorry,
yes. No. You're absolutely correct. So that's why I gave it 4 gavels. What do you say, Jason?
I give it 4 gavels as well. My continuity thing is just a minor thing with Matlock, but this show is getting consistently better.
Mm-hmm.
I'm noticing as we're going through, and I'm really they're finally starting to find their niche with the writing and the characters. Sure, there's a few small plot holes here and there, but overall, it's just, we're on an uptick, and I hope the next few episodes are just as good as the Dawn and this have been.
Yeah, definitely. I totally agree. So at this point, let's plug some other podcasting projects, websites, social media outlets, and whatnot. So, Jason, go right ahead and kick it off, man.
First, tweet me the hashtag Justice for Tyler's Coffee at 3 Geeks Podcast. Let's get some justice for Tyler Hudson here in 2020. Also, follow the 3 Geeks Podcast again at 3 Geeks Podcast on Twitter. Use the hashtag Justice for Tyler's Coffee. I'll know what it is and I'll get a chuckle out of it. Who cares if the rest of the internet doesn't know? And you can find us on all audio platforms, Facebook, YouTube, all that fun, amazing, awesome stuff.
I'm totally going to give some behind the scenes stuff here. I was not ready for that hashtag. I'm not going to lie. I was holding in the laughter, but that's a good one. Yeah, you know what? I got to say, we don't pick on Ben Matlock very often, but I'm going to pick on him. That was not cool, man, to steal a man's coffee. Not cool. Well, let me tell you where you can find my personal podcast, the PVD Cast. You can find it at pvdcast.com or all of those major podcasting platforms, such as Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher Radio, et cetera, et cetera. Just go to your favorite podcasting platform and type in PVD Cast or PVD Cast John Orlando, and you're sure to find it. And as always, rate, review, and subscribe. Jason, what if people have comments for us at Mattalk? What can they do?
Email us in the subject line, put Justice for Tyler Hudson's Coffee. You can email us at Ben, B-E-N, Mattalk, M-A-T-T-A-L-K @gmail.com. We would love to hear from you.
And don't forget, there's a Facebook page as well at Mattalk Podcast. That's where you can leave a message if you want to as well, or interact with us. And as we said at the beginning of the episode, thank you so very much to everybody who's checked out Mattalk. We love doing it. We're very happy that it's catching on, and there's tons of people, and I'm being honest, tons of people listening. So we're very happy and excited about that. So we'll keep it rolling. So, Jason, any final words?
Shout out to Vanessa Cox. She's been in every single one of our live streams on
Really?
Facebook. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you, Vanessa. We appreciate it so very much. All right. With that, then, as they say in court, ladies and gentlemen, nothing further. The following has been a joint production of the 3 Geeks Podcast and John Orlando Enterprises, LLC. Copyright